Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so we're going to talk about something completely mind-bending today. The bustling energy economy running inside your body right this very second, it's actually powered by ancient repurposed stardust. I know, right? It sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. But by the time we wrap up this journey, I promise you're going to look at every single breath you take and literally every move you make in a totally different light. We're going to trace the exact path of your energy, starting all the way out in the cold vastness of deep space, right down into the microscopic factories operating inside your cells.
Now you might be wondering, what on earth does a dying star have to do with you moving your arm? Well, there's this profound, literal cosmic connection between nuclear fusion in deep space and the energy coursing through your veins today. You see, the elements making up your body, the carbon, the oxygen, pretty much the whole shebang other than hydrogen, were actually forged inside the cores of stars billions of years ago. When those stars died, they scatter that dust, which eventually coalesced into our Earth. But it's not just the physical matter. Our most direct, immediate source of energy right now is the sun. Those immense fusion reactions are constantly slamming lighter elements into heavier ones, releasing a massive wave of radiation and light that travels across the entire solar system just to reach us.
And that perfectly sets up our energy's journey. Step 1 is that star fusion we just talked about. Then, step 2, plants capture that solar energy. Through photosynthesis, they use the sun's energy to literally fix carbon. They're pulling invisible carbon dioxide gas right out of the air and using solar energy to glue those carbon atoms together into solid structures. Things like glucose, starches, and cellulose. Then, step 3, an herbivore, let's say a cow, comes along and munches on that grass. The cow breaks down those plant molecules and rebuilds them into its own body. Finally, step 4, we eat. Our bodies take those molecules, break them down all over again, and extract that original trapped solar energy to power our own human metabolism. It's just incredible.
So, here's the crucial takeaway. Metabolism, it's not just a buzzword for weight loss or how fast you digest a big lunch. It is the ultimate, non-stop biological engine keeping you alive by constantly transforming that captured cosmic energy. We're talking about the entire set of life-sustaining chemical reactions happening inside you right now. It involves taking energy in different forms, smashing it down into fundamental components, and then building it back up in ways we actually need, whether that's to grow, to heal, or, honestly, simply to maintain the highly complex, orderly structures of our cells fighting against the natural laws of entropy.
To really get a handle on metabolism, we kind of have to split it into two halves. Think of your cells as playing with tiny Legos. First, you have catabolism. This is like taking a massive Lego castle, say a complex carb or a big piece of protein you just ate, and smashing it down into individual blocks. And doing that actually releases energy. On the flip side, you have anabolism. That's when your body takes those individual Lego blocks, grabs the energy that was just released, and uses them to build a brand new, vital structure, maybe a new muscle fiber or a strand of DNA. Metabolism is just this continuous, perfectly balanced cycle of catabolic demolition and anabolic construction.
But here's the thing. All of this intense cellular hard work eventually has to pay out, and it pays out in the ultimate molecular currency, ATP. Your cells can't just directly use the energy from, like, a slice of toast to flex your bicep. No way. That energy has to be converted into a usable, standard format. And ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is exactly that format. Just like you can't go to the grocery store and pay for milk with a solid gold bar, your body needs to convert the raw gold of your food into the liquid cash of ATP. It acts as the ultimate bridge between those catabolic reactions that generate it and the anabolic reactions that spend it.
To understand why these tiny molecules are so insanely valuable, we really need to peek at their structure. ATP is made of an adenine base, a ribose sugar, and, this is the absolute key, 3 phosphate groups. Now, these phosphates carry negative charges, meaning they naturally repel each other. It's exactly like trying to force the identical poles of 2 strong magnets together. Because they desperately want to push apart, it takes a massive amount of stored energy just to hold them together. So when your cell needs an energy hit, it just snaps off that 3rd phosphate group. Boom! All that tension is released as usable energy, leaving behind a depleted molecule called ADP.
Now, our bodies act like super efficient little mints, constantly manufacturing this ATP currency. But your payout really depends on the method. If you fully oxidize one molecule of glucose using oxygen, you hit the jackpot, a massive payout of about 32 ATP. If carbs are scarce and you're burning ketones, you still get a really respectable 22 ATP. But let's say you're sprinting as hard as you can and your muscles run out of oxygen. They have to switch to an anaerobic process called lactic fermentation. And That only yields a measly 2 ATP per glucose molecule. I mean, sure, it keeps you alive in a pinch, but it is wildly inefficient compared to running on oxygen.
Okay, so let's look at how we actually spend all this cellular wealth. And we gotta start with your amazing brain. Even though it's relatively small, your brain gobbles up a massive 25% of your total ATP. Why so greedy, right? Well, because every single time a neuron fires off a thought or an impulse, it completely wrecks its internal ion balance. To reset that nerve for your very next thought, cellular pumps have to actively push all those ions back into place. Get this. It requires the hydrolysis of nearly 1 billion ATP molecules to restore the balance after just one single nerve signal. Just one.
And beyond your brilliant thoughts, every single physical movement you make is directly funded by ATP. It happens in 3 main ways. First, ATP physically powers the microscopic protein structures in your muscles, allowing them to grab, pull, and cycle, which generates actual physical force. Second, when you want to relax that muscle, ATP is spent to actively pump calcium away into storage. And third, just like we saw in the brain, ATP powers the cellular pumps along the muscle's membrane so it's primed and ready for the next electrical signal from your nervous system. Literally, without ATP, your muscles would completely lock up.
All right, brace yourself for this next number because it is absolutely mind-blowing. To keep your body running, your cells must hydrolyze in astonishing 100 to 150 moles of ATP every single day. If you weigh that out, it literally equals your entire body weight in recycled energy. But wait, actually, scratch that. Here's the catch. You don't physically have your body weight in ATP stored inside you right now. The actual amount of ATP in your cells at any given second is incredibly tiny, which means your body is relentlessly, continuously recycling that depleted ADP back into ATP. It's reattaching and snapping off that third phosphate group thousands of times a day per molecule just to keep you alive.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. From the incredible violent heat of ancient stellar fusion to the silent carbon fixing of a green leaf, right down to the tiny repulsive molecular bonds of ATP snapping inside your neurons, every fleeting idea, every single heartbeat, and every tiny movement you make is essentially you spending ancient solar energy. Energy that's been beautifully packaged into billions of microscopic chemical batteries. Next time you blink your eyes, just take a second to appreciate the absolute cosmic miracle of the metabolic engine working tirelessly inside you. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember to keep marveling at the science of you.